Hello everyone and welcome back to my F1 2020 career mode for the Formula 2 round in Monza today. Don't worry about that, that was just the practice session. But now we will get into qualifying. You can see at the bottom of the screen the championship standings. We are 17 points ahead of Matsushita, 31 ahead of Correa. So a bad round last time out, but we still maintain the lead for the time being. So here we go for our lap in qualifying. Our fastest lap in this time was our very first, so we'll see how this lap goes. We have a little bit of a tow potentially from the car in front, but won't make a huge difference at this distance. But the lap's coming together okay so far. We had a bit of an awkward run through the first chicane, but since then it's been okay. Not perfect, but the second Lesmo, probably one of the most important corners leading onto a long straight, and we get a good exit through there. Same can be said for the Ascari chicane. Getting up here is very important, and we get all sorts of out of shape on the exit, but thankfully there's a runoff, so we shouldn't lose too much time there. And then Parabolica, the final corner. Let's hope we can get through here and finish off the lap well, and it looks like we will be able to do that. And as we come across the line, we'll see where this lap puts us in the standings. We go P1.
So qualifying is complete and we're all set for an exciting race tomorrow. Your top three are the scientist, Matsushita, and Giuliano Alesi. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the feature race tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
So it's pole position for us, extending our lead to 21 points ahead of Matsushita, who qualifies in second. Correa down the field a little bit, so he'll have some work to do this weekend. He is slowly drifting away from the title fight, but hopefully he can get some points back this weekend. So let's just get into the race and see how that goes.
Welcome everybody to the heart of Italian motor racing, Monza. We're here with Formula 2 for what ought to be an extravaganza of excitement and action. Let's head to the start line and get underway. Monza is situated 12 miles northeast of Milan. It's 3.6 miles long and offers 11 corners. 7 of those are chicanes, putting a premium on good braking stability and traction. With a good slipstream plus the 2 DRS zones available, there should be a number of good passing opportunities on offer. Turn 1 at Monza is famous, or should I say infamous, for serious contact and incidents, especially on the opening lap. What are your thoughts on that, Davide?
Yes, this chicane is a tricky one. A lot of time you see the more experienced drivers hold back from full throttle to keep themselves safe as everyone tries to squeeze into the racing line after the opening straight.
We are nearly ready for the start of today's race, but in the meantime, let's take a look at the grid. The scientist lines up on pole position, and Nobuharu Matsushita completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Alesi, Hubert, Jack Aitken, and De Vries, King, Boccolacci, Latifi, Mick Schumacher, Joe, Giotto, Juan Manuel Correa, and Eilert, Boschon, Calderon, Raghunathan, and Louis Delatraz. Sete Camara and Nikita Mazepin starts from the back of the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So here we are on the grid for the feature race in Italy. Usual one stop for a Formula 2 race, starting from the pole position. So let's just get into the race and see how it goes. Five red lights, and the lights are out. We are underway for the feature race here in Italy, and it's a pretty awful start. Matsushita immediately up into the lead. Alesi moves up into P2. Hubert is on our right side, and he's going to take P3 by the time we get to the first corner. We go late on the brakes around the outside. We have to take a bit of avoiding action so we don't run into the back of Alesi, and we have to take the shortcut through the first corner and leave those positions and lose another one, in fact, to Boccolacci. So we're down to 5th after the first 3 corners, but we're going to maybe get one back if we can get down the inside of Boccolacci into the Della Roggia chicane, which we do, and move ourselves back up into 4th position, and missing the apex there slightly. So it's going to be a long recovery from here to get back up into the lead of the race if we can, but we'll see what we can do. So the first target is Hubert. You can see we've got a massive air gap to him already after having to slow down through the first couple of corners to not gain an advantage from going off track. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of work to do, so let's see what we can do. So we move on. We are right behind Anton Hubert as we head along the main straight at the start of lap 3. We're going to have a look down the inside into the first corner. He swerved slightly heading into the braking zone. That was very dangerous, but we thankfully avoid a major collision there and make the move up into third position. Hubert with a fairly ordinary exit out of the chicane, but we move on again to the straight. We've got a great exit versus Alesi, a little bit indecisive about which way to go, but we choose the outside of the chicane to get the inside of the second part if necessary. We're late on the brakes though, and we might just be able to get this done through the chicane, and we do this. That big slide on the exit though, and that's going to allow Alesi to get back alongside and just completely leaves us behind there. But in the slipstream we will have an opportunity once again if we can stick close enough into the chicane. We do down the inside, and hopefully this time we get the position for good and can leave Alesi behind. So now we're up into P2, but it's not going to be long, and Alesi is going to come straight back down the inside, side by side into the Ascari chicane. We run a little bit wide, almost into the gravel trap there, as we go for a slide through the latter part of the chicane. Alesi still not giving up, and Alesi back up into second position. Meanwhile, Hubert and Boccolacci are battling side by side behind us, so we're surrounded by the Frenchmen at the moment. We have a look up the inside of Alesi into Parabolica. We make contact as he goes for a slide.
It'll need replacing if it takes too much damage. A new strategy is available on the MFD.
And we can't make it into the pit lane because Hubert was on our right hand side, so absolute disaster. We have to do a whole lap with a damaged front wing now, and just try to lose the minimal amount of time. We have a look up the inside of Hubert and try to get a stop for the first corner. We just about manage it and move ourselves back up into third, but it's not going to count for much because we are going to have no pace with a broken front wing, and we just need to get around to the pits as quickly as possible. So along the back straight we're going to be under fire once again from Hubert, who goes down the inside. We're just boxed in a little bit there, and we're just absolutely throwing the car through the Ascari chicane, running a little bit wide, but into the box. We will go Boccolacci making the move around the outside as we just set up the pit stop, but we're side by side and we've made contact with someone behind us. It's Jordan King, I think, and we're spun into the wall, and our front wing
the virtual safety car has been deployed.
Is now completely destroyed. We'll have a quick look at what just happened, but it looked like King just stuck his nose up the inside as we were going for the apex of the corner. King has a bit of damage as well. He boxes in front of us, but as you just heard, the virtual safety car is out, so we're not actually allowed to make a pit stop at the moment. And as we just look on board with Jordan King, you can see just taps us around at the last moment there. So I'm not really sure what on earth King was doing there. He had plenty of time to see that door was closing, and he still went for a gap that was never really there. Initially I thought we actually made contact with Boccolacci, but no, it was King on the inside. We get spun into the wall, front wing completely destroyed. We can't make a pit stop, so at the last moment we have to bail out when the safety car, or the virtual safety car, is deployed. You can technically make a pit stop, but it won't count, so we might as well just stay out and take avoiding action, as we almost smash into the back of the Charouz car there of Callum Ilott. So yeah, we might as well just live with pretty much no front wing left on this car for a lap.
We want you to pit in for repairs. Box. Virtual safety car is ending. Maintain your pace until the green flag. VSC ending. Wait for green.
And of course, under the virtual safety car, we're not actually losing time, so it's really only doing about half a lap with a broken front wing has checked the race director, no one penalised or even warned for that incident at Parabolica. But anyway, we just kind of sink like a stone through the field at this point. We're just staying off the apexes of the corners, not trying to get in anyone else's way. But you can see the queue that we're holding up behind us.
This lap then, come into the pits at the end of this lap.
So this lap we will be coming into the pits, and well, you can just see here how much understeer we're getting, trying to carry the same speed as everyone else through these corners. It just is not possible.
Medium tyres at the next stop.
So boxing into the pits once again, and this time we will finally be able to get into the pit lane, third time lucky, and we'll just get an undercut on everyone else, and that's really the only upside of pitting right now. The front wing change is probably going to take around about 10 or 11 seconds longer than an ordinary pit stop. Obviously the smaller pit crews in Formula 2 make especially a front wing change quite slow, and it's just an absolute nightmare to damage a front wing in a Formula 2 race. So eventually we get back underway and can continue the race. Once again, clean front wing, the car's back to full working order, so let's just push like crazy and see if we can make something of this race, and try at least to get back up the order, potentially onto reverse grid pole, or at least within striking range of getting points in the next race. So we move on, and you can see we are just starting to catch the group of cars ahead as we go for a huge slide through the first part of Ascari, just touching the dirt there on entry, and we'll grab a replay of that. But the first car up ahead for us to overtake is Mahavir Raghunathan, so we'll try to close the gap to him. But meanwhile, up ahead, this is Tatiana Calderon going for the move down the inside on Nick De Vries, and she might just about get it done here around the outside of turn 2, and Calderon emerges ahead of Nick De Vries and up into I think 12th position. So Calderon having a very solid race at this point, and could be on for her first points of the season. Meanwhile, we are making the move on Raghunathan out of the final corner, side by side along the main straight, and we have to watch out for Mazepin as well, because he's not too far ahead. We can't run into the back of him under brakes, that would be a disaster. But down the inside of Raghunathan and Mazepin under brakes, and we make the move on both of them up into 18th position for us. Next up is Sergio Sete Camera. So as we continue to march on in this race, you can see we have closed up to him by the time we get to Parabolica, and we'll try to make the same move on him that we did on Raghunathan. And you can see we've got a better exit out of the final corner, and drag race along the straight. But the straight line speed for Sete Camera certainly not lacking. Here has the DRS as well. It's a bit of slipstream from Ralph Boschen. We can't quite get the move done along the straight, but we will get it done down the inside into the first corner, nice and easy, and move ourselves up into 17th. The next target, Ralph Boschung, and then
That's 17th place. You've moved up into P17.
and then the rest of the pack. So we move on, and you can see closing on up again to Ralph Boschung as we head into the final corner, and we'll see if we can make again the same move that we did with Raghunathan and Sete Camera, and get the drive and get the exit out of the final corner. We do just that, and we've already cleared Ralph Boschung as we get past the pit entry. But just like Sete Camera, he's going to have some decent straight line speed, and as we try to close the door, he still has just enough of an overlap, and we have to leave him the space there as we send one down the inside of Delatraz as well, and move ourselves up an extra position and up into the top 15 in this race. So it's been a very solid march forwards so far. Next up is Luca Giotto and Nick De Vries, but up ahead again we'll go back to Tatiana Calderon, who is closing up to Guan Yu Zhou along the main straight with the DRS open down the inside, and she might just get the move done on the Chinese driver. Zhou, though, trying to hold it around the outside just to turn into the inside for turn 2, but it's such a tight corner that doesn't really help him. And Calderon makes the same move and moves herself up into 11th position. So if there's any troubles for the top 10, she'll be in the points. So that is a great drive from her. Actually, in fact, she might be in the top 10 once Jordan King makes his final stop. So as we move on, you can see we're so close behind Luca Giotto, and we go down the inside of the Italian, and we might get another position, so it's another double pass as we get Nick de Vries at the same time. Giotto gets de Vries as well, so de Vries dropping 2 positions there in the space of a couple of corners. Next up is Guan Yu Zhou, and then it will be the fight to get into the top 10. As I said, Jordan King has another pit stop to make. So here we go, closing into Guan Yu Zhou along the main straight. We're going to go to the inside to make the move down the inside of Guan Yu Zhou. He moves under the brakes, and now we've got a bit of front wing damage as we just about make the move work on the inside, around the outside of turn 2. But Guan Yu Zhou has damaged our front wing by swerving under the brakes, and that will cost us dearly in this race if the damage is as bad as it looks. The end plate completely torn off the car, and we are already, you can see, losing time. We're nowhere near Calderon, and through the Lesmos will be the most telling, being right-handers and the damage on the left-hand side of the car, and you can just see how much it's understeering. So that has absolutely ruined our race. We were so close to getting into the points. The move on Calderon, if we got there, that would have been it, but Guan Yu Zhou tries to go to the outside line as we head towards the Scurry. He's in the fence as we make contact, and there's other cars involved as well. Luca Giotto, Nick de Vries, and I think many more have been involved in that pile-up. We go surfing off the road over the sand and manage to rejoin the track, but we've got even more damage now, and all sorts of chaos has unfolded behind. But we'll go back to how this incident started. You can see Guan Yu Zhou moves across as we head into the braking zone. The damage indicator popping up there to let us know.
Damage to your wing. Suggest we box to change it.
And we'll need a pit stop to fix that. Here's another replay of what happened. This is looking at Guan Yu Zhou, Giotto involved, Nick de Vries involved, Sede Camera I think getting involved as well. Mazepin, that is, drives straight through everyone, so he got away with it. But all sorts happened there. Let's see if we can unpack this on board with Guan Yu Zhou. He has a big lose all on his own, and he just tries to get up the outside. Doesn't work out for him. Contact with his teammate into the fence. They both go. A lot of spins for Guan Yu Zhou, and that is a violent impact for the Chinese driver, and he is out of the race. We'll go on board with his teammate Luca Giotto, see what he saw, and oh, that is so unfortunate. Just getting clipped by his teammate as he spins. Giotto, nothing he could have done there, and he is still in the race, thankfully for him, but surely he will have damage from that. We go on board with Nick de Vries, who has been going backwards in this race, and again, just nowhere to go. Guan Yu Zhou comes spinning across the track. He makes contact with Giotto while he's off track. Louis Delatraz, similar story, just nowhere to go, and it seems basically everyone hit Guan Yu Zhou at some point. We go on board with Ralph Boschum. He's being a little bit cautious, but again, just clips Guan Yu Zhou as he keeps spinning, and thankfully for him, the next group of cars had ghosted. Sergio Sete Camera, again the same story, runs into the back of Louis Delatraz, and Nikita Mazepin, as I said, got away with it as he had a bit of a lose slamming on the brakes, but he managed to drive through everyone, so thankfully for the ghosting, for him, he got away with that one. But a crazy crash there, and Guan Yu Zhou, the only car out of the race. A lot of cars with damage, including ourselves, and we have to come into the pits. The safety car is obviously called out for a crash like that, so yeah, it is turned the race on its head at this point. We just need to try and fight our way through the field. The pit stop is taking
exit now. We're racing on the exit. Exit now.
An absolute age to get that pit stop done. 17 seconds.
Safety car is in this lap. Safety car in this lap. Let's make sure those tyres are up to temperature, and remember, there is no overtaking until the timing line. Stay in position until the green flags.
And in fact, it takes so long that we are nowhere near the safety car when it's restarting. So that is potentially a huge problem, but thankfully we do catch the train. By the time they get to the last corner, they do slow up quite a lot on the restarts, so it's all good. We have caught the back of the train, and now we can try to focus on getting a good restart. And our first target is Jordan King, so let's see if we can get a good run out of the final corner. You might also notice we are low on fuel, so
Okay, the incident has been cleared. Let's get back up to racing speed.
we will have to lift and coast a little bit for the rest of this race. Hopefully that doesn't become a major concern for us. So as you can see, lifting coasting already. Down the inside though of Jordan King and Mahavir Raghunathan, both the MP cars in one corner, potentially round the outside of Raghunathan, and we might just about be able to get the drive, but he's still trying to fight us side by side through Curva Grande. But we get the move done on the inside, just about squeezing and slithering through there, and we move ourselves up ahead of the two MP Motorsports cars. And the next car up ahead is Louis Delatraz, one of the cars involved in the incident. I assume he did not pit, but Sergio Sete Camara retires from the race with a mechanical failure, and he parks it up. That's not going to cause an issue. He's in front of an escape road for the marshals there, and also the field bunched up. But anyway, now trying to make the move on Louis Delatraz down the inside of the first corner. Potentially he's moving all the way across to the white line. We switch to the outside and we make the move on the outside, but we can't quite get it done because Delatraz himself goes for a dive and tries to overtake.
Be careful, we think you're going to start losing some tyre grip around now.
Tries to overtake Mazepin, and as they're side by side through this long right-hander, he might just not quite get it done for him there. I was getting a little bit excited there as we're pushing him into the braking zone down the outside of both of them into the Della Roger chicane, and we make the move on Delatraz and Mazepin and move ourselves up into 11th position. So next up is Calderon, so we'll see if we can chase after her and some points in this race. But Mazepin fighting back on the inside of the Lesmos. We run wide through both of them, but I think we should be able to hold on here along the back straight. But Mazepin is still alongside me. You have to watch out for him. You can just see the front wing there, but we managed to hold him off under brakes and continue on through Ascari ahead of him. So hopefully we can get away. But again, another mistake on the exit. Mazepin is through, and we now need to do all the work again as Raghunathan and Delatraz battle away side by side behind us. So Raghunathan getting involved in the fights here as well. We have to try again to make this sort of switching line work through the final corner and get the drive and the power down, and we do eventually get the move done on Mazepin. No DRS enabled quite yet. It's enabled on this lap, so on the run to Ascari we'll have it.
That brings you up the place.
And we should be able to get the move done on Mazepin into the braking zone in the first corner, and now we should hopefully be able to chase after Calderon. But a huge slide on the exit, and the rear wheel's just not gripping up, and Raghunathan and Mazepin both get back through. So Raghunathan gaining a lot of positions. He's up into 12th at this point, as Delatraz, I'm sure, isn't far behind us as well. But we're going to send it down the inside of both of them as Mazepin swerves under brakes. We make contact with him at the apex, and we just about make the move. But
Alright, so we've been looking at the damage, and we think you should be okay to continue. It'll cost us a little bit of time, but we're nearly at the end of the race.
the damage not as severe as the damage from Guan Yu Zhou, so it seems we'll be able to get away with it. It's also on the right hand side of the car, so it won't be as limiting around a clockwise circuit. But I need to take a break. There's so much happening in this race, but yeah, again, for the second time in this race, the 11th place car has moved under the brakes and has damaged our front wing, and now we have pretty much no chance of catching up to Calderon, I don't think. So it's looking good for her at the moment. We're just going to try and hold this position as best we can and just hope we can come away with something. We've only got a couple of laps left.
This is your final lap of the race.
In fact, we've only got one lap left. So we move on to the back straight on the final lap, and we're out of fuel. I've forgotten to save fuel, and now Mazepin flies past Raghunathan, Delatraz, Jordan King, and we have just lost everything in this race. Oh my goodness. What has just happened? How have we let this happen? Boschem as well. Giotto and De Vries had to pit under the safety car. They didn't actually catch the train, but they'll be flying past soon enough. There goes Giotto, and soon enough, there goes Nick DeFries. Steadicamera and Joe are out, so we're down to last, and we just have to painfully coast to the finish line. That is so frustrating. After all that, we're going to come away with 18th position as we slowly make our way around the final corner. To make matters worse, Matsushita has won this race as well, so we really need to put in a good result in sprint race, or we'll be losing the lead this round. So we come across the line for 18th.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
What an absolute disaster. Mazepin, driver of the day.
A great win then for the Carlin team today. Tell me, Davide, what was the key to this success?
The safety car had a huge impact on the race today, that's for sure. A lot of racers begin panicking when it's brought into a race, as it means important decisions need to be made in a very short space of time. Should you pit? Well, that depends. What track is it? How are the tires holding up? What is my current position? A race can be won or lost after the introduction of a safety car. Making good thinking key to the victory here today.
As we can see, it's time for the podium, and I can see the Carlin team underneath our commentary box going crazy as their driver walks out. It was a great win, and it means a great deal to this team.
So it's Nobuharu Matsushita who takes the race win. Giuliano Alesi takes P2. Great result for the Frenchman, and it is Hubert who rounds off the podium.
And now, let's take a look at the driver's standings. Nobuharu Matsushita takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship after that excellent result. Now then, Davide Valsecchi, who would you say was your driver of the day?
Nobuharu Matsushita is my favorite one. Today was amazing. He made so many overtakes.
And now a look at the team standings. After all this drama, you'd be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
So, disaster. That's the only word for it. Pole position, we finished last. We cannot be having that happen too often. Terrible start. That's really, I guess, where it started. And then the front wing damage trying to re-overtake Alesi. And then it all just spiraled out of control from there. We had to take avoiding action into the first corner. It all just went wrong in that one. Everything that could have gone wrong did. We got damaged several times throughout the race. Contact with Jordan King there, the first major issue. And then even as that happened, of course, you know, the virtual safety car had to come out at that moment. We'd already missed one opportunity because Hubert was just awkwardly in the wrong place for us to make it into pit lane. So that cost us a lot of positions. That's what really sent us right to the back of the field, was losing all of that time. And then, of course, this moment right here, Guan Yu Zhou moving in the braking zone, and that's really put the nail in the coffin for this race. We really had no chance from there. So I guess all in all, we had good pace at the right moments, if there is one positive to take away, and we proved that we can get through the field relatively quickly, so that is something to keep in mind for the sprint race. So not all hope is lost. We may be able to do the Luca Giotto and charge through the field in the sprint race, but we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, the feature race could not have gone much worse. So yeah, it's all up from here. So let's just get into the sprint race and try to do better.
We've reversed the top 8 from yesterday's race to set the grid for the sprint race here today, and the drivers are almost ready on the grid down below. As we await the start of another hugely anticipated Formula 2 race, I'm joined again by Davide Valsecchi. Davide, as a former GP2 champion, can we get some insight to what is running through these young drivers' heads as they sit out on the grid?
Ciao Alex, it's a pleasure to be here. There are nervy moments, there is no doubts about that. Mental strength is the key to remaining calm and focusing on the upcoming race. Formula 2 is so competitive, and all of these drivers knows that they are going to be pushing each other all of the way. In this sport, you have to be able to control your nerves.
Okay, this is the team's home race. We're all relying on you to impress today.
So, it's a new day, the sun is shining, and hopefully the luck will be on our side in this one. No stop strategy in the sprint race, nothing we can really try. We burned both of our soft tyre sets anyway in the last race, so let's just get into it as we now go to the 5 red lights. And the lights are out and we are underway for the sprint race here in Italy. It's a fairly average start, to be completely honest, but in the second sort of phase we actually have some pretty decent momentum, and we're already trying to make some moves as we head into the first corner. An opportunity, a big window arises around the outside. We're going to take that, and as we go side by side with King and Raghunathan through turn 2, we can't get the traction on the inside line, just way too tight of an apex there, but we've already moved ourselves up into 14th position, so it's been a fantastic start for us, and that is exactly what we need, gaining 4 positions through the first corner. So that is absolutely superb. Down the inside of Mahavir Raghunathan into the Della Roggia chicane as the cars ahead are swapping positions. There may have been a bit of a mistake there for Calderon, because King has gained that position. So King making a lot of moves in these early phases as well, moving up probably 3 or 4 positions himself. But anyway, our first target is Nikita Mazepin, so let's hope we can get the run on him. We've got a bit of slipstream on our side, and we're going to have a look down the inside as he tries to defend, but we'll make that move nice and easy. And Calderon is actually back ahead of King.
Nice move.
I thought he had that move done, but Calderon clearly able to fight back. So yeah, it's Jordan King in 11th place. Calderon sitting in the top 10, only the top 8 scoring points in the sprint race. We send one down the inside of King at the last moment, almost smashing into the back of Calderon as King gets the switchback though, so we don't really gain anything out of that. We're still stuck behind the British driver, but we've got a good slipstream. We're very close behind him as we head towards the Della Roggia chicane to the inside, down the inside of King. He's not going to leave the space there as he defends, and we just have to sit behind him for a little bit longer in this race and find another opportunity. So that might arise heading into Ascari. We go down the inside of King and get the move done, just about keeping the car on the road, and now we can focus on trying to close the gap to Calderon. And as we move on, here we are on the back of Calderon, and we should be able to make this move pretty easily with DRS along the main straight. Calderon, I'm not sure if she has it or not, but we can make that move under brakes, seeing as Calderon has some very good straight line speed, and we can't quite get Matsushita at the same time. Matsushita dropping back.
Good job, nice overtake.
Off the start, starting 8th, now in 9th, with Lacey potentially dropping a few spots as well. But we have caught up to Matsushita into the final corner. We'll try to make that same move that we've made several times throughout this weekend and get the drive out of the final corner. We're going to do it. And Matsushita, though, with the straight line speed, is going to come back. You can see the front wing getting further and further ahead. So we're going to have to do this the hard way under brakes, but Matsushita switches to the inside. We're going to try to take the outside line. We're late on the brakes, too late. We have to take avoiding action to not run into the back of Alesi. Matsushita maybe makes a bit of contact there with Nicholas Latifi up ahead as we're 3 wide and biffing and barging through the first corner. Matsushita comes out in front. We come out in the second place of that battle, but a lot of contact between the three of us. Lacey just sending it into the second corner. Not really, well, he probably should have backed out at that point. Maybe didn't really have a chance to, but we're going to have a little look to the outside. Matsushita not choosing to defend there like I thought he might, so it is as it was for now, but Lacey the one losing out of all that. But once again we move on to the main straight. DRS on our side. Matsushita does not have it this time, so we should be able to get past. We choose it the hard way once again on the grass a little bit, but we make the move around the outside of Matsushita and take the position through the first couple of corners inside of turn 2, and nice and easy up into the points in this race. Next up is Nicholas Latifi, so we can close into him and start overtaking a few cars, putting a few cars between ourselves and Matsushita, who is trying to come back at us, but not going to get close enough on that occasion, as we make a bit of a mistake and run a little bit too deep into the middle sector. So it's going to be tricky to try and hold off Matsushita, it seems, as we run wide. Matsushita might come back at us here if we're not careful. We do get a nice line through the second Lesmo, and we should be able to pull away now, but if the DRS does not favour us, we will be in a lot of trouble as Matsushita tries to go down the inside of Parabolica. We leave him the space on the inside. You can see he's there, just sticking the nose in, but we just about managed to hold him off. But we've compromised our exit, so has Matsushita. But
Gap to teammate ahead is 4.3 seconds.
we just need to shake him off, because look, he's passed us again. The straight line speed in the Carlin really helping him out there as he locks up on the brakes, and we just about avoid contact with the back of him there as we go for a big slide on the exit of turn 2. And then Lacey's got us back as well. We're back down into 10th, and Calderon looking for a move as well, but we hold him off as we go back down the inside of a Lacey into the De La Roja chicane and move ourselves up into 9th. Matsushita getting away a lot though, and now Calderon might have a chance at overtaking a Lacey as we squabble away in the middle sector. We completely missed the first Lesmo once again, but eventually we do manage to find our way back onto the gearbox of Nobuharu Matsushita. We get the DRS again, we go to the outside on the run to the first corner, and hopefully we should be able to make this move and get away once and for all and try and close the gap to Latifi. We take the apex, and we should hopefully now finally be able to get away, but Matsushita still having a good exit out of the first chicane, so we will need to watch out for him. And meanwhile behind this is Lacey battling away with Matsushita, so hopefully these two can fight, and this is the perfect opportunity I need to finally get away from these two, and I think Lacey might make that move. So he's being my best friend in this race and putting himself between myself and Matsushita, and putting Matsushita further away from the point scoring positions. And you can see now we have caught Latifi as we head into the Ascari chicane, and there are also a couple of cars ahead of Latifi. The next one up the queue is Boccolaci and I think Ilot. So a few cars in line here that we may be able to make overtakes on as we have a look down the inside, and we get the move done on Latifi, and we may even get a run on Boccolaci if we can get out of this final corner well, as Jeff compliments us on that move. We've got a run on Boccolaci with the DRS open now towards the first corner. Can we make a move on the Frenchman as we head into the Rettifilio? Not going to happen as he defends. We kind of have a look on the outside, but we were too early on the brakes to really put up a challenge to him. But moving on, Latifi, this is a slipstream working in DRS at its best, because he's trying to come back at us, but through the chicane we should be able to hold him off as we bang wheels and eventually manage to stay ahead of him. But Latifi not giving up either, and now we've just lost a whole bunch of time to Boccolaci.
The car behind is dropping back by about 3/10 a lap.
Up ahead was actually Schumacher ahead of Boccolaci. I'll correct myself there, but Boccolaci, a huge crash there.
Yellow flag ahead.
What has happened to Boccolaci? Will go on board as he tries to make the move on Schumacher, just loses control, indecisive of which side to go. He manages to keep things mostly under control, not as dramatic from onboard as it looked from my perspective. I thought that was going to be a much bigger incident, but he manages to somewhat save it. But anyway, we are now move on to the final lap. We've been pushing like mad to catch up to Schumacher, flat out every single lap, and we're now making the move around the outside of our teammate, and hopefully he won't put up too much of a fight to move ourselves up onto the podium in this race. That is absolutely insane. Correa is running in P2, P1 rather, Aitken P2, so I must have made up Callum Ilott at some point in all this. I haven't even seen him all weekend, but Ralph Boschem retires heading onto the final lap with a mechanical failure. He is out of the race now, so it is just myself versus Schumacher to the end of this race. Boschem was well out of the points anyway, but if we don't get a good exit towards Ascari, we may have issues with our teammate coming back at us. Hopefully he'll think of our championship fight, but thankfully we've got a good gap to him, so that won't be an issue for us, and we can just conserve and not make any mistakes to the finish, as he is holding up Latifi, not Latifi, he's not even there anymore. It's actually Lacey in 5th position, so Lacey having a decent race, a decent weekend to be fair. A 2nd and a 5th is pretty good, as Correa wins the sprint race here in Italy, and that is exactly what he needs to try to get back into the fight. It's been mostly myself and Matsushita recently, but we're going to come across the line to get back on the podium.
Thank you for all your hard work out there. That was a strong drive and a good finish. Well done.
The 3rd position. We get the banker points for this weekend after the disaster in the first race. I'm pretty satisfied.
So another fantastic victory for Charus today. And I have to wonder, Davide Valsecchi, just what set them apart from the competition here.
Although the Formula 2 cars are all the same spec, the winner just looked better out there. It would have been a combination of getting those tires up to running temperature faster and driving to the condition on track. They made it look easy out there today.
Looks like they're on their way out onto the podium now, and what a result this is. A popular one with the crowd as well. Great stuff to see the Charus team on top here today.
So it's Juan Manuel Correa who takes the race win. That is fantastic to see for him and his career in Formula 2. Aitken takes P2 and we get back on the podium.
So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. The Scientist takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship. And now, Davide Valsecchi, let me ask you, who is your driver of the day?
It's a difficult call, but I'm going to give it to the Prema driver. Look at where they finished compared to where they started. It's not easy to cut through the field like that in Formula 2, so it was a great effort.
On to the teams then. Prema extend their lead at the top of the championship. And after all that excitement, I think it's time for a lie down. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you when Formula 2 returns.
What a race. What a race that was. Where to start? I don't think we could have really done too much better in that race. I think we more or less maximized everything we could have, and in the end we got the result, 3rd place from 18th on the grid. I will take that any day of the week, and as you saw, that earned us the championship lead back from Matsushita, but it's just back and forth between us at this point, with only a few rounds to go. Russia and Abu Dhabi, it'll be a tense end to the season, and I have a feeling it will go right down to the final race. Correa also getting involved in the fight, not as much as he was at the beginning of the season, but I think with a couple of good results in Russia, if he gets lucky, he'll be right back in it as well. So let's hope for his sake that he can find his form again after winning a race today, and get back involved in the championship fight, because he's just dropped a little bit out of contention recently. But anyway, I will end the video here. So other than that, I will say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you for the next round in Russia. Goodbye.